Welcome to my world, everyone. This is Like It or Not with Michael Lane, and Michael Lane is who I be. Don't forget to catch my show, Like It or Not with Michael Lane, on Smack Tongue Radio, smacktongue.com. You can also catch my show as well on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/Michael Lane Talk. But you can really catch me on smacktongue.com, where I do my thing every Tuesday through Saturday night. Now, I've been gone for a minute, as you all know, and I'm doing a lot of catching up. There's been some things happening, you know what I'm saying, during my personal struggle, my family, going through and stuff like that. So, loss of a family member, stuff like that. So, I'm trying to catch up on a little stuff. So, I'm going to reach back a little bit and talk about Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's governor, Bill, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Bill Haslam. Now, Bill Haslam, he announced that Tennessee will be the first state to use the electric chair when the lethal injection, they're not available. They're going to be the first to use it in a mandatory fashion. It's going to be mandatory that they use the electric chair to take off people. Take out these criminals. But Mr. I hope I'm saying his name right, Richard Dieter. I hope I'm saying his name right. But Richard Dieter, who is the president of the Death Penalty Information Center, far left, he said that, quote, this might be a cruel and unusual punishment. He said, the electric chair is clearly a brutal alternative. It's a brutal alternative. Wow. Like the murders weren't brutal. Like the horrible crimes and the child molestation. That's not brutal. But that's their definition of criminal justice. It's justice for the criminals. I'm for it. As a matter of fact, we should bring it back. Period. Mandatory. Mandatory. Not leaving it up to every state. No, every state should have the death penalty. This is what we should concentrate on. It makes me think about the Clayton Lockett situation. The guy whose veins exploded. You know what I'm saying? During a so-called botched execution. What is a botched execution? A botched execution? That sounds so idiotic. You're supposed to... The dude died. That's the bottom line. And he suffered a little longer. It was like 40 minutes after or something like that. Something of that nature. Okay, good. He suffered. Hooray! But we know what happened with Clayton Lockett, and the president had to speak on it. He don't speak on the Benghazi situation. He doesn't speak to the parents that he lied to. Those heroes who gave their sons out there. He doesn't talk about them. But he gets up there on the Rose Garden, and he speaks on Clayton Lockett, which he calls it terribly troubling. He says it's terribly troubling. As a matter of fact, let's listen to this foreigner speak on Clayton Lockett right here.
What happened in Oklahoma was deeply troubling. The individual who was subject to the death penalty had committed heinous crimes, terrible crimes. And I've said in the past that there are certain circumstances in which a crime is so terrible that the application of the death penalty may be appropriate. Mass killings, the killings of children. But I've also said that in the application of the death penalty in this country, we have seen significant problems. Racial bias, an uneven application of the death penalty, situations in which there were individuals on death row who later on were discovered to have been innocent because of exculpatory evidence.
What the hell are you talking about, dude? What the hell are you what the hell is this foreigner talking about? And you heard how he just kind of like brushed off the fact that he actually kidnapped a woman, raped her, beat her, shot her, and buried her alive. Well, we without that whatever happened to whatever that person is. The person's name is Stephanie Neiman, 19 years old. Stephanie Neiman. She was the one that suffered, that was buried alive, that was brutally beaten, that was raped and shot. And it was the Neiman's family only child. This man didn't mention once about the parents, their struggle, their pain. He didn't mention once about Stephanie's struggle, her pain, nothing. This is liberalism at its finest. Liberalism has run amok. It is crazy. Said nothing and cared nothing about Stephanie. Nothing. And this man talking this crap. This has nothing to do with innocent people being caught up in prison and on death row. That's a whole totally different subject. We're talking about this subject. And this man said it was terribly troubling that Clayton Lockett had to go through what he went through, child's play, compared to what Stephanie went through. This is terribly troubling that this foreigner didn't once, not once, mention Stephanie or her family. Didn't express any type of sadness for them, and said that this is most important. What's terribly troubling is that you all don't know that executions ain't pretty. It's supposed to be that way. Murders are worse than execution. What's also terribly troubling is that you are empowering criminals and demonizing law-abiding citizens. You don't look at... That's why I hate when people talk about shootings, gun violence. We have to do something about gun violence. There's somebody behind that gun. You got to say gang violence or crazy people violence, something, instead of gun violence, because guns aren't doing anything. It's the people that are getting these guns that are doing something. But you're giving power. You're empowering these criminals. You are having sympathy for these criminals and don't give a damn about the victims. And you know what else is terribly troubling, Mr. President? What's terribly troubling is your economic and your foreign policies. That's what's troubling. And you're worrying about crooks being treated with respect. You're worrying about murderers and brutal, demonic, possessed, crazed nutballs being treated with respect. Now that I think about it, maybe you are onto something. Your attorney general is still the attorney general, but he's racist, and he got away with lying under oath and giving guns to drug cartels. You have Lois Lerner. Lois Lerner's getting paid by taxpayer money after she did what she did to halt the voices of the conservative America. And let's not forget, you and the rest of these people covering up Benghazi to make you look good in your so-called foreign policies. Nobody's held accountable. Nobody's really paid the ultimate price. Maybe in the VA hospital, somewhat. But it's not enough done. Because you're not doing anything except setting terrorists free and making trades for a damn deserter. And putting out forged birth certificates. Okay, I understand. I understand, Mr. President. You keep standing up for people like Clayton Lockett. Maybe we as Americans can stop rewarding criminals and get back to justice. like it or not, in the hood dungeon. If you don't like it, I don't give a damn.